What is going on, guys? Joe Potch here, and welcome to another Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019 video. So I had two live streams last time. First one was Gunfight, the first Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019 video on my channel. The second one was a stream of the open beta, the first open beta that I played with my friend. As you can see here, some gameplay footage here. I believe we were playing Domination. So I wanted to talk about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019, how it has changed through all the other Call of Duties, how much different it is, and some tips and tricks. Now, I'm not the best player, but I am most definitely not the worst. This gameplay that you see here, this whole 12-minute clip, is me not really doing my best and me getting killed a lot. I promise you I do much better than shown in this gameplay. But I wanted to give you guys a glimpse as to what I do. This was actually live stream recording and use some clips from that to give you some gameplay while I talk about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019. So, the first thing that I want to get right off the bat on Modern Warfare 2019 is how different the gun mechanics are. Now, essentially, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019, any Call of Duty is a shooter. You are basing all your time around running around, shooting your firearm, killing people, and getting objectives. That is essentially Call of Duty in a nutshell. The firearms in this video game, let me just say, are absolutely insane. Not only because of the recoil, but not only because of the customization, not only because of the graphics and the detail that went into these firearms, not only because you can sprint with it aimed up, you can do tactical sprints, you can do so many things with these firearms and yourself. I mean, these firearms are just amazing. And the one thing I love the most about these firearms is the sound quality of the firearms and the recoil. The sound quality isn't like anything I think I've ever heard in a video game, and it is just crazy. So you shoot a gun, the gun sounds differ. There are so many factors that play into how the gun is going to sound. You know, if you're indoors, the gun's going to crack louder. There's not going to be an echo. It's going to sound very hollow or very, very, very loud and dense because you're in a room. And if you're outside, you'll fire the weapon and it won't be as loud as indoors. You'll hear that rifle or that gun crack in the sky, especially larger caliber firearms. So as you can see, I'm using an MP7, and this gun is pretty loud indoors, and it has a very nice click, 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 click outside. Very satisfying sound. All the firearms in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019 have very, very dynamic and very, very different sound designs based on the actual guns of the game and based on the caliber. The developers took note of the caliber of the firearm that they were using in the game, and that actually are used with real life firearms that they're depicting in the game, and they layer and they mix so many sound effects and whatnot, and it is just amazing, and it gives you this nice, crisp, realistic sound. I mean, the guns in previous Call of Duties, they would have a little bit of a nice sound to it, don't get me wrong, but these guns they sound like cannons going off. They sound like they're actually firing projectiles. They sound like a real firearm. They are loud, the sound is dense, it's heavy, it is deafening, and it is awesome. So now let's go into the recoil. Some guns, in fact, I'd say the majority of guns have pretty manageable recoil. Some guns have crazy recoil. You know, if you use the M4A1, expect a lot of shaky, almost, I wouldn't say sideways recoil, but a little bit of diagonal recoil. You know, if you're going full auto with an M4, you'll see the character struggle with that recoil. You'll see your character struggle, and you'll see the recoil on screen just shake and rattle and just move all over the place and just vibrate the screen. It's insane. And I've fired firearms in real life, and I can tell you that the handguns and the calibers that they portrayed in this game are very, very close to real life. Very, very close to real life. So, you know, it's absolutely amazing. And some recoils, like on the MP7, the AUG and submachine guns, are controllable. They kind of reflect previous Call of Duty with their recoil. You know, there's barely any recoil with the MP7, there's barely any recoil with the AUG, there's barely any recoil with any other submachine gun. But with assault rifles, you know, you get the Odin assault rifle, or you get the M4 assault rifle, you get the M13, you get a whole array of assault rifles. The FAMAS even has a bunch of recoil, and that's one thing that changes about your gameplay entirely. Is your gameplay changes entirely based on recoil alone, because you're going to have to get closer with assault rifles. And honestly, you can shoot further away with submachine guns than assault rifles. You know, you'd figure assault rifles would be used for longer ranges, which you can use because it does more damage at longer ranges. But submachine guns, honestly, if you want a steady, controlled recoil at long distances, you're going to want to stick with submachine guns, as you see in this gameplay with the MP7 I was using. The MP7 has, I think, the least amount of recoil in any compared to assault rifle or submachine gun, has the least amount of recoil. It is just an amazing gun. So, you know, you've got the amazing sound design, the amazing, the absolutely amazing recoil system that they're using, to where it shakes and rattles like real gun. You know, it's not just an up and down recoil like past Call of Duties. It goes side to side, it goes up and down, it goes diagonal, it goes all over the place. Because fully auto rifles in real life, whether submachine gun or assault rifle, they go all over the place. It is hard to control. That's why in real military practices, you usually stick to single fire, and they have that option in the game. If you feel like the recoil is too much, you can turn your M4, your M13, your Odin, your FAMAS into a semi-auto rifle and use it that way to get better, cleaner shots at long range, which in real life is what military and the Army, the Marines practice, is longer ranges. You're not going to ever shoot full auto at long range. You're going to switch to single fire and pick off enemies with one round at a time, you know, semi-auto, which is what civilians have here in the United States. The majority of civilians can obtain any semi-auto rifle, which is practical for long range as opposed to full auto, and they show that in this game. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. So, not only that, but just the graphics are incredible. I mean, Black Ops 4, with the latest Call of Duty, graphics were okay, but it looked more stylized like as a PC game. You know, it just had that graphical look. And here, I mean, it's just phenomenal. It is just absolutely phenomenal. From the landscape to the buildings, everything is just great about the graphics. I mean, it is definitely a step up. It almost looks like Battlefield graphics, but it still has that Call of Duty flair. You know, a lot of people are saying this game looks like Battlefield. It looks like it kind of has a Rainbow Siege vibe. I didn't get any of that. I got a slight Battlefield vibe, but you know, Battlefield is more of a slower, lots of animation type game. You know, Battlefield is very realistic, and this game is very realistic too. Wanted to note. So now let's go into the style. Let's go into some tips and tricks that I've learned over playing the betas and the gunfight and whatnot. So in this Call of Duty, I'd say you have a fair chance to kill anyone regardless of how good they are, because there are so many factors that contribute to how you're going to play and how everyone else is going to play, from the recoil to to how you run around, to the size of the map, to hiding places, to where the doors are. I mean, every little detail is going to contribute to how well you play, because there's just so much in this game. And some other YouTubers have mentioned this as well, that you do have a fair chance to kill anyone regardless of how good or bad you are, because there's so many things going into account. Even if you're a pro player, you still have to control that recoil, that crazy recoil sometimes on these assault rifles or light machine guns and whatever. And you know, if there's a pro player with a sniper, you have to aim down sights for a long time. There's really no more quick scoping. It takes about 1.5 seconds or 1.5 to 1 second, I believe, to aim down sights of a sniper rifle, unless you get some sort of quick draw ability. But the biggest tip I can give you is, when you're playing, if you're playing gunfight, I wouldn't necessarily stick back. You do have to kind of rush the enemy and play hard on that. But game modes like domination, team deathmatch, and even ground war, which is absolutely crazy, you're gonna want to stick back, and you're going to want to, I'd say, probably camp and really understand the map and really be tactical about what you're doing, because this game is no longer a run and gun. Because if you try and run and gun and run into a room with 3 or 4 guys, you're going to get gunned down. And even then, it is very hard to clear a room of 2 or more players, because the time to kill is lower, and there's just so many factors that contribute to how well you're going to be playing and how well you're going to be performing in the game. So, you know, again, you're just going to want to take it slow, check your corners, and make sure that you are really doing everything you can to stay alive, and really focus on the map, and really take note of what other players are doing, the objectives, and knowing what you're going to do when you get spawned in. So, you know, it's important that you can sometimes just stick around an area with your assault rifle or your submachine gun and wait for enemies. You don't always have to run in. You don't always have to run and gun, because if you run and gun in this game, especially with snipers and other things like that, as you see in this gameplay, you're gonna get gunned down, because assault rifles are gonna kill a sniper so much easier than we ever had the chance to in past Call of Duties. So, you know, you're gonna want to get used to the map, the objectives, what you're playing, and you're going to want to be patient. I found that when I started playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019, I was actually particularly good at gunfight when that was the first testing they ever did. But when the open beta came with actual team deathmatch, domination, ground war, whatnot, I find that I was dying a lot because I was trying to rush. And when you have 64 or 32 or however many enemies on the map, it's chaos. It is absolute chaos. So you're going to want to be tactical about it and take your time and be patient when you are trying to level up and get better, because this is a game that takes a while to get better at, because again, there are so many factors, so many new things they've added in this game. This is the new recoil system, the new running system, just the sound of the firearms alone. I remember when I played on the open beta where we actually got to play team deathmatch domination besides gunfight when the beta after the gunfight beta was released. I remember playing after my first match. I was actually particularly stressed about the match, not because I was doing bad or anything like that, but because of the sound design, because of the warthogs going overhead. Like, the sound design and just the atmosphere that this game has stressed me out. Like, you could say I had a mini PTSD attack after the first match I ever played with, like many other people, you know, team deathmatch domination, that type of style, because it was insane. I was not used to that type of recoil, the realistic type of shouting, the gun sound effects, the aircrafts flying overhead, the helicopters, the warthogs. It's just absolutely crazy. So my tip to you is to stick back and really just take your time and know that this game is going to take a while for you to advance. Now, as you can see on the screen, I want to talk about this before this video closes, is that we have a new customization engine, or a new customization option. This is the gunsmith, and let me tell you, I love when you can customize firearms and have their appearance look totally different, but know that it's still that base weapon you started out with. You can change the look of any firearm drastically in this game, but there are pros and cons to attachments. If you add too many attachments, you may have a lot of pros, but you're also going to have a lot of cons associated with that attachment. As you can see when I edit the classes, you can see that there are cons as well. There are pros for the attachments, there are cons. It might reduce your running speed, your aim down sight, and things of that nature. So just a very good game, and I am totally excited for when it releases. So that's going to be it for this video. If you guys liked this, please like, comment, subscribe, share this with your friends. Hit that bell icon so you can stay all things up to date with me. I didn't say that sentence right. So you can stay up to date with me and what I do, and I will be posting more videos like this shortly. I hope you enjoyed the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019 tips, tricks video that I just did. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.